There was a time in my life where I struggled to trust myself and make clear decisions, not because I was incapable, but because I thought all my decisions had to be perfect. And this might be something that resonates with you. And if so, here are three lessons that I had to unlearn in effort to increase my own self-trust and be able to make clearer and more bold decisions. The first thing that I had to learn or that I had to unlearn to make better decisions and increase my self-trust is that busy does not equal alignment. What I did so long was I was constantly in motion, busy, always doing something. And because I was constantly in motion, it was really hard to slow down and listen to my inner self. It was really hard to slow down and be able to see whether my decisions were in alignment to where I wanted to go, or if I was simply in motion to complete a to-do list. So I'll give you an example. Years ago, I had decided that I wanted to finish writing my first book and publish it. And at that time, I launched my blog that I called Stop the Cycle, that was helping women who were going through some type of relationship challenges, whether in their personal or professional lives. And I had a clear idea of where I wanted my life to go at that time. But I was so busy doing so many other things. I was working two jobs. And on top of that, I was jumping from one decision to another decision instead of really taking the time to think about if this decision was in alignment. So shortly after, I had an opportunity come to me, or at least you would think there's an opportunity. And this is part of where the shining object syndrome comes in. So I was approached to go into the financial field industry. And though it sometimes is a great industry, I knew for myself that as someone who wanted to be a professional writer and speaker, I knew that was not the right path for me to go. But because I was so busy and I was not taking the time to really see, was this going to this field, would that be in alignment with where I am working to go? Or would this be something that pushed me back from my goal? And because I was so busy and did not take the time to really think about whether that decision was in alignment to where I see myself in the future or not, I went ahead and I spent about a year or a little over a year in the financial industry, which took a complete pause on writing my book. And it's been over a year or so, or maybe 2 years at this point. My book is still not out. And the reality is that if I had really taken the time to pause and think to myself, is this decision truly in alignment with where I am working towards, with where I am actively working towards right now? The answer would have been no. And I would have learned to just go ahead and not pursue the financial field. But the reality is that if I had taken a moment to pause and ask myself, is pursuing the financial industry, is pursuing a financial planner career, is that something that's in alignment with where I see myself, with what I want to do with my life? The answer would have been a clear no. But because I was so busy moving and constantly in action, I never really took the opportunity to truly think to myself and dive deep down and ask myself, is this truly in alignment? So when you are constantly busy and on emotion, it's almost impossible to really be able to trust yourself and make clear decisions. As a result, people are going to start to influence you. And for you to really start making clear decisions and trust yourself, you need to learn that being busy does not equal being alignment. And sometimes what happens is that you think to yourself, well, I can do it all. But being able to do it all, it only dilutes your focus, it only dilutes your energy, it only dilutes your resources, whether that's your mental resource, your financial resource, etc. So one of the lessons that I had to unlearn to be able to increase my self-trust, and to make clear decisions is to learn that busy does not equal alignment. I talk about this more in another video that I title Why High Achieving Women Feel Stuck, even though they feel like they're doing everything right. I will link that video either up here or up here, so please make sure you watch it at the end of this video. Another thing that I had to unlearn to increase my self-trust and make clear decisions is I had to unlearn on bringing in external noise over trusting my inner self. And what I mean by that is that I used to be the person that had to ask so many people about what I want to make a decisions about. So I'll give you a clear example. I remember years ago when I was dating, and I would be dating a guy, and it was very clear that this person was not the right person for me. But instead of just making a decision to cut it off, I will find myself researching online, are these red flags? And it was so clear to me that they were red flags. But instead of just saying, you know what, I am going to go ahead and make my own decision and just move away from this person, I spent so much time asking my friends, asking my family what their thoughts, asking people online. And I remember dating someone for a long period of time. You know who you are. I remember dating this guy for a long period of time who struggled to be able to open up, who it was I mean, he was a great guy overall. However, I struggled to be able to really build a connection with him because he's someone who was just like he was always usually in his shell, and he's someone who he really overall he wouldn't put in a lot of effort. But whenever I said that I was leaving, then all of a sudden he stepped up his game, and I knew that I did not want to be with someone who only step up his game when I was ready to walk out the door. But because I was asking my friends and family, there's all these things about, well, give him a chance because you know A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Well, you should give him a chance because X, Y, Z. And the reality is that I needed to ignore those external voices, instead trust myself. So one of the things that I had to unlearn is to minimize the external voices and learn to trust my inner voice much better. And this might be different for you. It might be that you are pursuing a career or you want to start a business, and the people around you are telling you that it's a bad idea, etc. Obviously, use your judgment. But one of the things that you have to unlearn in efforts to trust yourself better and make clear decisions is to be able to minimize the external noise and trust your inner self. And self trust is one of those things that's so important because if you do not build that self trust with your own self, you are going to walk down paths, you are going to make decisions about your career, about your personal life, about your professional life, and you are going to live in regret because you ignored the things that were deep down in your heart and in your mind and in your soul that felt like the clear path to go. And sometimes the reality is that the clear path does not always mean that you see everything clearly. So, for example, if you decide to start a business, it may not make sense to your family and friends, but it does not mean that that's not the right decision for you. So, one of the things that I really think that will help a lot for you if you really are on this journey of unlearning, making clear, trusting yourself and making clear decisions, is you need to definitely download my free guide called the Self Trust Reset. I will link it in the description below. Now, the next thing that I had to unlearn is relationship patterns. Many of us, including myself, always thought because someone has been in my life for a long period of time, it meant that that person had to stay in my life. So, very often, what will happen is that I would know that someone was disrespectful, that someone did not have a good heart towards me. But because I grew up with that person, I try to hold on so tight on those relationships. And I'm going to get real very quickly. So one of those relationships, for example, would be some friends that I grew up with who was so clear that they did not like me, that they had some type of issue against me, that they had a clique that they built against me. But because we grew up together, I always felt like I had to continue to maintain those relationships. And the reality is that that was unhealthy for me. And it placed me in a place of low self esteem sometimes because I constantly find myself wondering why these girls don't like me. Like I did not do anything to them. So why is it that they have this strong dislike for me? But the truth is that I had friends from college. I had friends from other places that generally cared about me. So why was I so stuck on those childhood friends? It was because I grew up with them. So I felt like I had to maintain those relationships. Another type of relationship pattern that I had to unlearn is thinking that just because someone is blood, it means that they are family. I had to redefine what family means to me. And for me, family is the person or the people that have chosen to love me, that have chosen to show up, that have chosen to respect me, that have chosen to generally care about me. And unfortunately, a lot of the times that was not my blood family. A lot of the times that was not my biological mother. A lot of the times it was not my biological father. It was men and women who have decided to step into my life growing up, who have decided to make sacrifices for me, who have decided to invest in me, who have decided to love me. So, for example, my mom, and often when I talk about my mom and I talk about her in an endearing way, it's not my biological mother. It's a woman from a high school who just really fell in love with me and decided to really be in my life. And this woman has been in my life for over a decade. I mean, she's known me since I was maybe 15 years old or so. And pretty much every step of the way since especially my sophomore year of college, she's been in my life. from college shopping to my relationships to even my first relationship that I got in that was super toxic. Well, that wasn't my first relationship. All right. So I've been in some toxic relationships. Granted, why I am making videos on healed leadership. So she has been someone who every single step of the way of my life for the past decade plus, she has been there. She has been there. She's embraced me. She's made me feel like I have a home. And she's never made me feel for a second that I'm not her daughter, including to the point where I knew that if there was one person I could trust to protect me when I was going through an abusive relationship and I had to, at some point, go into hiding, she was really the only person I could trust to tell what was happening, where I was going, and knowing that she wouldn't give up my location to the guy who was abusive to me. So, family, at the end of the day, is not about who is blood related to you. Family are the people who have made a decision to be a family to you. And I think for a lot of us, we struggle because we think that because someone is our blood, that we share blood or DNA with this person, we think that that person has to maintain our life. And as a result, many of us struggle with our mental health, struggle with our confidence, struggle with our life in general, our lives in general, because we are keeping close to people who truly do not have the heart towards us and who do not have the hearts to protect us, who do not have the hearts to love us, who do not have the hearts to really be considerate and care about us. So the three things that you need to unlearn to make sure that you can trust yourself and to make sure that you can make clear decisions. One, you have to unlearn that being busy does not equals you are in alignment. Doing a lot of things does not mean that you're doing the right things. The second thing is that you have to minimize the external noise in efforts to increase your self-trust. And last but not the least, you have to unlearn your relationship patterns. Because someone has been in your life long time does not mean that they should stay, and because someone is blood related or have your DNA doesn't truly mean that you're family. I hope this video was helpful. Make sure you check the description below to get the self-trust reset guide for free.